that I'll be conducting today for content writing is based on blogs. I'll be talking both about personal writing. For example, I know that many of you present in this session right now have Instagram blogs on which you guys do poetry. I'll be talking about that. I'll be talking about how to blog successfully when you're talking about personal issues, and most importantly, especially considering the climate that we live in, the social climate that we live in, is opinion based writing. How you can get your point across respectfully without how you can identify your audience, all of this. And also, a new if you're a new writer like I was a year ago, what can you do, which websites can you contact, how can you monetize your skills. I think this is very important, because a lot of you wish to write, but then there also wish to write for your own audience, but then there's so many of you who want a larger audience, who want engagement. All of this comes from knowing how to contact the right type of people, and this is what we will be talking about today. The basic roadmap to my session and what I'll be talking about is this. I cannot. Okay, yes. So we'll be starting off with the do's and don'ts. I'll be showing you a short video on in which this lady talks about how to get your point across respectfully, which phrases can you use, how to not be imposing, how to not enforce your opinion. After that, I will be giving you examples of opinionated blogs, how you can submit to them, what are the guidelines. And then we will be, this is the most fun part of today's session, I'll be making you all unmute yourself and dissect real life examples of Instagram blogs with me, both personal and opinionated. I've researched a lot for this session, and which is why I've chosen 3 to 4 blogs that I think really fall into the kind of blogging in the future that I envision for anyone who has joined this session or any startup writer. So we will be dissecting them. How have they made their point across? How have they delivered their point across? And what makes their blog so special? Why do I want to read their blog? This is something that you must understand. Okay, why does the audience want to read your blog? There's so many people who are writing on the internet. There are dozens of articles. Why would I want to read yours? This is the question that if you can answer for yourself, you will find the right type of audience and the right type of engagement. We will be starting off with things that you should do, which is basically the do's of um, um, like content writing, both opinionated and personal. Before I start off with this, I just want to give a disclaimer, and this is a disclaimer that I give at the start of every session, not only content writing, literally every session that I have ever been invited to, I always give this disclaimer that whatever I discuss today is based from my personal experience, what has worked for me. Let's say I discuss something today that has not worked for you. Firstly, you're always in the position where you can disagree with me, where you can say that this is coming from your place, it did not work for me. And which is why I'm giving you this disclaimer, that this is based from personal experience, कि ये सारी चीजें worked for me, they might not work for you. However, being in the same position that you all were or you all would be, they are some they are the right mix of maybe things that can work. So 90%, 80 to 90%, they have a success ratio. Of course, har cheez subjective hoti hai, and when it comes to something that is as subjective as writing, there is no hard and fast rule. So yes, I'll be starting having given this disclaimer. I'm not here to teach you English, the rules of proper grammar, the rules of proper punctuation. You will see so many blogs on Instagram who have a following of over millions. They're making the most common grammatical mistakes. There के मसले हैं, THERE, THEIR, इतने ज़्यादा मसले हैं. What still makes them stand out? It's not these. At the end of the day, like, even though this session is based on content writing and the medium of instruction is supposed to be English over here, unfortunately or fortunately, these things do not matter at the end of the day. What matters is how you're getting your content across and what type of content you're getting across. So the number one rule that I most strongly believe in, which does not only apply to content writing, it's a rule that I've learned from life, but it applies very strongly to writing as well. Honest writing is good writing, because honesty is a human emotion that is funny. It can be pure, it can be raw, it can be sad, it can be angry. As long as your work is honest, its purity and its raw, like its raw kind of characteristic will shine through. That is what makes your writing so powerful. um, I don't like reading editorials which are detached, which do not convey human emotions across. And this especially applies to if you're aiming to get human emotions across. This is the way to go. Always be honest with what you're wanting to say. No one wants you to be on this big banter or on this big threshold, like where you're this perfect human being. Of course you're not. We all make mistakes. As long as you're willing to recognize them and reflect them in your writing, like I have done all the same things that you have, etc., etc., it will really shine through. Honest writing always shines through. And again, honesty से थोड़ा सा linked है, but not necessarily. Always write with inspiration. Don't force yourself, because your reader can always gauge whether what you wrote was heartfelt or whether it was not. अब इससे एक बात ये link होती है कि there are so many blogs on Instagram who, when they get a big following, or their blogs on WordPress, who when they get a big following, they start collaborating with other writers, etc., etc. Now what happens is कि जब आपके ऊपर like कि I need to earn this much money and I need to fulfill this collaboration, you're not necessarily writing with inspiration. You're just writing because, oh, I have this task, I have collaborated, I signed up for it, I have to get money for it, so I have to do it. अब बहुत ज़्यादा blogs ऐसे पढ़ोगे जिसमें you will just feel like, okay, this person wrote it, this is a good collaboration, but I don't think she or he wrote with inspiration, or I don't think that like they're really passionate about what they're saying. इसमें मैं एक चीज में बहुत strongly believe करती हूँ, and maybe there are a lot of people who will disagree with me over here. As a human being, as a writer, um, सारी दुनिया के मसलों के बारे में लिखना और के बारे में feel करना is not in your hands. If I don't feel passionate about the environment and I start writing about the environment, my honesty will not reflect through. अगर आप body shaming और इस तरह की चीज़ों के बारे में passionately feel नहीं करते, सिर्फ personally feel करते हैं और इनके बारे में आप लिखना शुरू हुए, आपकी inspiration और आपकी honesty, purity आपके काम में reflect नहीं करेगी. It's as easy as that. Maybe it's very hard to like recognize it, but this is something that I've learned कि अगर आप किसी चीज के बारे में passionate नहीं है, your your writing will just not be up to the mark. And दूसरी बात, it is okay to not be passionate about everything in the universe. Yes, I'm very passionate about, let's say, feminism, but then maybe I'm not very passionate about, I don't know, gardening, and that's okay. मतलब these are things that are okay. आप हर चीज के बारे में ना तो लिख सकते हैं, ना आपके पास इतना ज्यादा emotional capacity है कि आप हर चीज के बारे में passionate हो सके. So be very mindful of this. उसके अलावा relevance. Now relevance की ये बात है कि there are some people जो कि when they write, so their work automatically like becomes relevant because वो उसको इतना ज्यादा एक universal perspective दे देते हैं. That is not necessarily true for people who are new. Even I struggle with this. So the thing is that your writing has a higher chance of being engaging if it is relevant. For example, अगर मैं आज बैठ के independence के idea और freedom के idea के बारे में लिखूं, तो it will be more meaningful than on any other day. However, there are some themes that are always relevant. The idea of freedom for a Pakistani, the idea of independence for a Pakistani, the idea of body shaming for a woman, or the idea of like for any person, or the idea of I don't know, maybe the idea of being an expat, like someone who is an immigrant from a country to someone who is living in another country, will always be relevant. There are some themes जो universal होती हैं, जो आप year round जिनके बारे में बात कर सकते हैं, and there are some themes जो कि like उस दिन आके अगर आप उनके बारे में लिखें, so they are more relevant, and your piece has a higher chance of being engaging for your audience. उसके अलावा okay, so another thing, learned the hard way, but again, would love to for you all to learn this. Be concise with what you write. I have hated word counts all my life. I could never adhere to them. When I was giving the Cambridge exams last year, I could not adhere to word counts. They were the biggest pet peeve that I've ever come across. And still, अब जब college essays वगैरह की बारी है, word counts really put me off. But with time I realized how important they are. अगर आपको अपना essay ना जब आप drag करते हो ना, मेरे साथ ये बहुत होता था जब मैं social issues के बारे में लिखती थी. I would go on and on and on कि as a Pakistani I've done this, and as a woman this, and as I don't know a girl this, and as a feminist this. Your own work, if you keep dragging it, आपको लगेगा कि ओ मैं बहुत woke और intellectual और detailed हूँ. To put things in perspective, किसी और का काम जाके पढ़ें जिसने इतनी ज्यादा unnecessary details or drag किया हुआ अपने काम को, and you will realize कि you were not coming across as intellectual or woke or anything. You were actually just coming across, your work was coming across as a drag. It is as simple as that. It was not good. There are some people जो social issues को 2 words में या 2 lines में इतना impactfully convey कर देते हैं कि आपके 2 pages का essay भी उस पर probably like it cannot do justice to it. And that is just the power of using concise language. It really hits where it's supposed to hit. उसके बाद one thing again I believe in very like passionately, it's to get your opinion across very respectfully, identify the lines. You don't have to enforce your opinion, don't impose your opinion. You are not entitled to anyone's opinion, तो इसी तरह ही कोई और भी आपके opinion पर entitled नहीं है. ये ना समझें कि अगर आपके पास internet पर agency है, या अगर आपके पास एक अपना blog है, या अगर आपके पास like for example आपका किसी contract है किसी newspaper के साथ, तो now you are entitled to all the opinions in the world and everyone must adhere to them. No, I will not adhere to them because I am entitled to my own opinion. Same as you're entitled to yours. फिर idea आता है कि फिर मैं opinion based writing करूँ क्यों? And you can do that as long as you will get your point across respectfully. And this is something that I will teach you how to do right now. उसके अलावा ये है कि your opinion comes from your personal point of view. People who say कि like मैं opinion based article लिख लूंगा और मैं इसके बारे में passionately feel भी नहीं करता. आपका opinion आपके अंदर से आता है. It comes from the person that you are, from your personality and your characteristics. Identify it. Identify whether it's your inner voice speaking or you're just doing it because for example very crude example, but औरत march के करीब you will probably see so many of these people, so many people जो कि probably अपनी पूरी life लोगों के साथ sexist remarks मारते रहे हैं, या फिर they were the opposites of feminists saying like औरत march just because bandwagon पर चढ़ना is very easy. So always identify whether you actually believe in the things that you're writing about. उसके बाद things you should not do. Firstly, don't force your opinion on other people. No one is entitled to it. Opinions must be delivered respectfully in the hope of finding an audience that adheres to them. आपको अपना opinion impose करने की जरूरत नहीं है to find an audience. There are so many people on the internet. भरा हुआ इंटरनेट, अगर आप इंटरनेट को यूज करें या अगर आप किसी न्यूज़पेपर को यूज करें, देयर आर सो मेनी पीपल ऑन द इंटरनेट, यू विल फाइंड द राइट ऑडियंस इफ योर ओपिनियन इज समथिंग दैट इज डिलीवर्ड रिस्पेक्टफुली. उसके लिए इम्पोज करना कि नहीं बस मैं औरत मार्च में बिलीव करती हूँ, आप सब बस औरत मार्च में अभी और इसी मिनट बिलीव करें, you will never find an audience for this. Deliver your opinion very respectfully, and that is done by using the right phrases. There are some people who motivate you so much अपने opinion से कि आप भी उनके opinion से adhere करना शुरू हो जाते हैं. वो आपके ऊपर डंडा लेके नहीं खड़े होते. They deliver it in a way that makes it seem very appealing, very respectful, and something that you would want to adhere to too. That is something that we're going to learn. Uske alawa, one more thing. I've seen this in a lot of blogs that are coming up, and of course, I'm not pinpointing to a specific blog. I just research a lot for this, and I realized that Instagram zingers जो होते हैं, jokes, one word phrases, witty remarks, low-key offensive remarks, they're often appreciated. I agree, they're often humorous, but never make them the center of your essay. The actual point should get across. Use witty remarks, humor को use करें as a tool to get the point across. They should not be at the center of your essay. This is something that someone once told me कि like something I had written. मैं personally बात कर रही हूँ ताकि like maybe it will communicate better. I wrote something which was very funny, at least to me. बहुत ज़्यादा like witty remarks थे, dry humor था, sarcasm था, but they told me कि this all is good, but it's all at the center of your essay. Your point is on the sides. That does nothing. What does it tell us about you? कि आपको बस like आप witty remarks बस करके आपका हो गया, but हमें point तो समझ नहीं आया. So where did your 1000 words go? That is true. The point should be at the center. The Instagram zingers and these jokes and these funny witty remarks, they should be supporting tools. Use them as tools. Don't use them as the actual mode of communication. Then that gets too much. उसके अलावा again, be very clear on what you want to debate or argue on online. If you're an avid user of social media, you will have come across many इस तरह के debates जिधर you know कि both parties are pointlessly debating. दोनों को नहीं मिलना जो वो चाहते हैं, but वो दोनों लड़ रहे हैं एक चीज पर या फिर डिबेट कर रहे हैं एक चीज पर, ऑफेंसिव भी हो रहे हैं, एंड दोनों को ना एंड पर उसने उसकी बात सुननी है, एक्स ने वाई की बात सुननी है, ना वाई ने एक्स की बात सुननी है. एंड इट एक्चुअली आफ्टर अ सर्टेन पॉइंट it does not seem like it's a debate anymore. It just seems like a useless banter. Never engage in banters. Just be very clear about what kind of presence you want on the internet. What are the pros and cons of debating with a certain type of audience, because pointless debates are never appreciated. They just are useless banters. um yes, उसके अलावा don't delve into writing without knowing your audience. अगर मैं Instagram पर कुछ लिखूं, my audience is different than if I'm writing on for an opinion editorial, for example for Dawn. My audiences are different. When you will identify your audience, that is when the quality of your work will shine through. मैं एक काम हर जगह भेज कर expect नहीं कर सकती कि उसको same level of engagement और audience से support मिलेगी. That's just not going to happen. ठीक है, उसके अलावा the last thing on over here before we move to actual examples is how to approach editorials that have a blog section or opinion editorial section which you can submit to. Firstly, be very sure that the editorial that you are submitting to actually aligns with your views. I will not name editorials, but there are so many who heavily censor information, who are have often, like, delved into topics which, like, you wouldn't want to delve into, who have often hurt sentiments, who are being run by people who have hurt sentiments perhaps. So I wouldn't want to personally submit to an editorial that heavily censors information, या फिर जिनके owners are like have hurt sentiments, etc. So always be sure कि the editorial you are submitting to, अगर आपका काम accept हो जाए तो you would be proud कि like इस editorial ने मेरा काम submit किया, not कि ये editorial काफी problematic है but इन्होंने मेरा काम submit कर दिया. Research करें editorial पर, you will find a lot. So some examples, I'm not saying these are good examples, these are just examples. The research is on you. Research on them. Okay, if their policies align with yours. It's Propaganda, which is one which has a very active blog section. It's Entremuse. It's Behinchara magazine. I personally would really recommend this. If you're a feminist writer in Pakistan who wants to uplift other women, this is a very good platform because they make you write letters to a woman that has inspired you in your life. It is an excellent magazine edit slash editorial. Then you have, of course, Dawn, Express Tribune, the Friday Times, the news, etc. What you have to do when you are submitting is look at their blog slash opinion editorial section to see the submitting guidelines. Most of them say कि email करें, इस email पर subject of email होना चाहिए submission slash Jovera Shakeel, short bio of the writer with a picture. For example, my name is Jovera Shakeel and I am a high school student residing in Lahore, Pakistan. Writing is my core. It is something that I come to very often for healing, for just letting it out. This is like a two-line, very concise bio from the top of my head. Most of them will say कि अपना काम submit कराएं 12 font type में. Times New Roman is a font that I recommend because it is a standard font. आपको याद नहीं करना पड़ता कि मैंने Dawn को submit कराना है तो मैं ये कर लूँ, मैंने Express Tribune को submit कराना है तो मैं ये कर लूँ, because Times New Roman is a standard font. ठीक है? So we are done with this. Now we will be moving to the fun part. Okay, so how to get your point across respectfully. These are all the phrases. I will not be showing you the video due to lack of time because I have to show you some very interesting stuff that I've opened over here. It's all Instagram, Instagram, Instagram. So I hope that you guys will like it. But these are just ways that you can get your opinion across respectfully. हमेशा जिस तरह कहते हैं ना कि आपने एक मॉडिफायर डालना है, समथिंग लाइक आई थिंक, आई बिलीव, आई फील, आई सपोज, आई गेस, in my opinion, in my view. Always take the responsibility of your opinion. This is very important. When you're writing an opinion based article, always take the responsibility of your opinion. आपने impose नहीं करना, लेकिन always recognize कि वो opinion आपकी तरफ से आ रहा है. So if I say that I am a very big supporter of the Earth March, I should say it in a way कि in my opinion, just now, for example, yeah, in my view, the Earth March is a very good agency that is available, provides very good agency to women. Then अगर उस पर debate करना चाहते हैं, they should know who to come to, and that is me, because this is my opinion. So always take responsibility for your opinion by using such modifiers कि I think, I believe, I feel, I suppose. If you're not really sure कि where your opinion lies, but you know कि हाँ, somewhere in a way I do align with this, then you can use I suppose, I guess. मतलब again, like I said, हर चीज के बारे में knowledge होना और हर चीज के बारे में पता होना is not something जो कोई भी आपसे expect करता है, ठीक है? Because of course you're all human. You can say I suppose, I guess, in my opinion, in my view, from my viewpoint, from my point of view, from my perspective, according to me, and it seems to me that I am the biggest supporter of these three, which is from my viewpoint, from my point of view, and from my perspective. Because you're getting your point across, but you're also saying कि मैं आपके ऊपर enforce नहीं करी, ये मेरा perspective है, you are entitled to yours. That's where it ends. That's it. ठीक है? So I'll not be showing you the whole video. We'll be moving to the fun part. Okay. So when it comes to personal blogs, a blog that I have been following since a very long time and that I like a lot is a blog run by this woman whose name is Mavish Ahmed. I'll be showing you her blog on WordPress, but I just want to show what she does on Instagram too. So like mostly जो Instagram bloggers होते हैं, they have वो कभी कभी like they write on Instagram, but most of their stuff goes on WordPress also. It's good to keep a record on WordPress too कि ये मेरे सारे blogs थे. Even अगर आप Instagram को discontinue करना चाहें at a time, because Instagram blogging is very taxing, your WordPress blog will be there. Okay, so her blog is called Safarname, which basically talks about the life of an expat, an Pakistani expat, because she does not live in Pakistan, but she talks about her life as an expat. She's a mother to two. She probably writes about that. Um, and like just very generally, very personal stuff. What choti choti cheez. And like you will say, कि, like her kid did this, and the way that she's written it will make you feel like, oh my god, like I don't know what her kid did. And in the end, at the end of the day, her kid probably just asked for milk or something. So what does she do that makes her writing so personal and as I said, very personal that Instagram bloggers who do personal writing focus on very religiously, and this is something that I have noticed, is just owning up to what they've been through. No one expects you to do it. Only do it if you're confident that you want to do it. But just owning up to it and looking back and realizing कि, okay, I've come very far. Because the thing is कि अगर आपके पास बहुत बड़ी following है, then you kind of also have to realize कि you need to put some lesson out there, some part of yourself out there that inspires other people to follow your work. I never recommend कि आप picture से base करके अपना काम like अपनी writing करें. The writing should shine out on its own. If your writing is only being supported because the attached picture is so appealing, then that just means कि your work wasn't good enough. ठीक है? So I will she just starts off with a very वो line, like probably bloggers को DMs आते हैं, and she says कि a, a frequently asked question in my DMs is, how are you so confident? And then she just starts off with her journey. She was anorexic, then second pregnancy mein she lost a major organ. Uske baad, like so many things happened to her. She was body shamed throughout her life. Um, when new girls came into her school for A levels, she was only met with discriminatory remarks, etc., etc. But then she got engaged to someone who again body shamed her. But then she talks about how that has all changed for her, just owning up to it, letting people into a very personal part of her life. Like I said in the start, if your writing is honest, its purity and its raw quality will shine through by itself. You will not need to make the extra effort. If I tell you about something that I've been through, if I say it in an honest way, if I'm just like very pure about it, raw about it, very explicit with you, I will not need to use these fancy zingers and these jokes and these big words out of the thesaurus to support it. As long, matlab, like the biggest misconception about writing, I think, is कि आपकी writing तब appeal करती है to an audience जब उस में like they're very fancy words that you've used, and जब बस पूरी thesaurus आपके काम के अंदर ही हो. That's not true. Some of the best works that you will find on especially when it comes to opinion based writing are very simple, deconstructed, but audience को समझ आ गई, they liked it, they appreciated it, that's good. बस simple writing is better as long as you're confident about it. So she basically talks about all of her issues in this, and I will be putting up the links to all of these posts that I discuss on Google Classroom, and I would highly recommend that all of you go and check these out, especially if you are someone who is considering personal blogging. If not, then I'll be moving to opinion based blogging over here. So that is something that we will come across too. Okay, so this same woman also writes on WordPress, and her blog is called Mere Safarname. It's over here. I will put up the link to this, and this is the specific blog that I want to talk about. Okay, so again, like I told you guys, that she's an expat. So whenever she moves to a new town, obviously she's very alien. She talks about um, the experience of just being very alienated. The paradox to that is कि Pakistani culture में If you think about it, roots, grounding, family, heritage, culture, tradition are very, very important parts of a Pakistani family. And Pakistan se phir jab when you're a Pakistani expat and you go somewhere else, you're emigrating, you're just new, you're alien, you're confused, you're conflicted. It is very, very impressive, and it is very honest that you just own up to this. You know, like for someone who is so used to having roots, culture, tradition, heritage, to someone who is just lost and starting off with this. Acha, I don't know how many of you are in O levels, but I'm sure there you have come across something similar. English teachers often saying that it is good to start off with the dialogue as long as the dialogue is very appealing. She starts off over here with a conversation with her neighbor, next door neighbor, who is again telling her, ke, like who she's starting up a conversation with because she's new over here. So whenever she moves to a new town, she talks about that. The ironic part of this blog is that she is talking about a neighbor of hers who is new. And then she says that 7 months ago I was her, because like she was in the same position. So just letting people into the personal parts of your life and saying that, this is the person that I was. For example, from a very personal point of view, if I was to write about myself, if I now see someone who has stage fright, who is shy, I immediately like go back to the person that I was 5 years ago. I was very shy, I had immense stage fright, to the point that my knees used to shake whenever I used to go up on stage. The first debate that I gave, when I sat down, my hands were like this. Like, I'm not even kidding. Now that I own up to them, and if I write about them with the simple purity of language that I'm using in communication with you all right now, its purity will reflect too, through just the fact that it was honest, that it was my personal experience, कि मुझे fake नहीं करना पड़ा. आपने बहुत दफा सुना होगा कि like people write about issues जिनके बारे में उनको खुद पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस है ही नहीं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ यू राइटिंग अबाउट अ स्पेसिफिक कम्युनिटी इन पाकिस्तान, या तो हो कि आपने उनके साथ प्राइमरी रिसर्च की हो. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ आई राइट अबाउट द अहमदी कम्युनिटी इन पाकिस्तान एंड आई एम नॉट अ पार्ट ऑफ द अहमदी कम्युनिटी माई सेल्फ, मैंने उनके साथ कोई प्राइमरी रिसर्च भी नहीं की, जस्ट straight facts off the internet, and I say, like the Ahmadi community has to do this, and they are discriminated, and they're this and they're that, my work will not be honest. Sorry. Yeah, my work will not be honest. You will see that I'm not talking from personal experience. It will look fake, to for the lack of a better word. Personal experience से जितनी आपकी quality of work enhance होती है, it is absolutely commendable, which is why I would always recommend you to take on issues first जिनमें आपका अपना पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस हो, कोई पर्सनल लेवरेज हो, एंड देन टेक ऑन इश्यूज. मतलब कोई आपको मना नहीं कर रहा, आप लिख सकते हैं अबाउट, फॉर एग्जाम्पल, द इन्वायरमेंट. इवन अगर आपने पर्सनली कुछ इन्वायरमेंट के लिए नहीं किया, बट फर्स्ट राइट अबाउट इश्यूज जिनके बारे में आपको पर्सनल थोड़ा सा एक्सपीरियंस है, ताकि आप देखें कि लाइक वेयर योर एक्सपर्टीज लाइज इन. मे बी यूर नॉट, मे बी आप पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंसेस के बारे में नहीं लिख पाते, यू आर मोर ऑफ एन ओपिनियन बेस्ड sort of person. Uske baad, this is very important. This is something that I want to talk about, very important. This is very important. So this this is an art account primarily. It's run by someone called Asfa, and so basically a question that I was asked a while back was, okay, what do you do when you have to write about things that are just straight facts of the internet? मतलब आपने किसी के बारे में, अगर आपने किसी की historical background बतानी है, for example, someone over here, I'm just taking a random name of the participants list, Arisha Heather, if I have to tell about your historical background to people, how do I make it interesting? You were born on this date, you did this on this date, you started school on this date. It is just, it will just be a big drag. How do you, जब पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस ना हो, जब ऑनेस्ट वो ना हो, जब आप खुद उस चीज के थ्रू नहीं गए, how do you make your work interesting then? And this is a very good example of that. um, Asfa over here runs an art account, and she has made this portrait of a woman called Noor Jahan, born Meru Nisa, and from the she was someone from a Mughal background. Now the thing is that what Asfa is trying to convey over here is that Noor Jahan, this woman, is only remembered through the European lens. She's only remembered through the male lens. Like she was an aide to lens. She was an aide to men in the Mughal army. Who was she as a person herself? You will, आपने बहुत ज़्यादा written pieces में देखा होगा, especially British literature and Pakistani literature पहले की at times shadows women a lot. It at times clouds women's successes a lot and attaches them to a man's success. Asfa over here is trying to portray that this woman has a life story of her own that is as important as the life story of the men that she aided, perhaps. ठीक है? I will attach a link to this as well. This is this woman's personal life biography, but it is told in a way that is so impressive, that is so interesting to read, that it really makes you ponder. Okay, like, oh, I just had a history lesson right now, but it was very interesting, and I just had a lot of fun reading it. Always attach, for example, if you're saying, okay, this woman is remembered through the European lens, attach a quote that aids what you're saying. For example, this Lal is again another writer who had written about the subcontinent during this time. She said that vulnerability is feminist history. This word quote literally conveys everything that has been said over here, which is why again, like the importance of simplicity really shines through. Okay, sometimes concise words really aid your writing. So what to do about in cases where like it's just historical facts that you have to convey. Uske alawa, the last case is how for people who are uh, primarily interested in opinion based writing. So, for example, this is another blog that I'm aware of. It is called 55 Voice and it is run by a group of 455 mainers. And they're writing over here about the not all men debate. The not all men debate is something that has been debated upon very strongly in the recent past. And there's so many people who have like so many different opinions on it. How do you make your opinion stand out? Pehli baat, whenever you are discussing opinions, keep them very simple, keep them in a way that is accessible to the larger audience. Agar to aapki audience defined hai कि, okay, this is my audience, it is a group of, for example, 15 to 18-year olds, then of course, like, you can like maybe have it in a certain way. But for example, in our case, I run this blog with three of my other friends also from 55 main. Our audience wasn't defined. This is a public page, anyone has access to it. Always keep it very very concise and to the point. The not all men debate, this is what it says, this is what it is about, and this is what we're wanting to convey. I will also attach a link to this. It is a very well written blog, and I would highly recommend anyone who wants to go into opinion based writing without being offensive, like I said, to look into this, because it gives it gives a very good breakdown of what you should be doing. For example, you start off with a line that is often reiterated in society: not all men. You start deconstructing it. Secondly, a line that is often reiterated by a feminist writer saying that men can be falsely accused too. Then you debate this line on the grounds of what you feel about it. Nowhere here was this article offensive, even though it was debating an issue that is so controversial. If you've been following social issues, you will realize that this is one of the issues that has sparked the most controversy, the most amount of debate, arguments, anger in feminist history. However, nowhere was this article offensive, got its point across, backed it up with research, said this is what we believe. Uske alawa, open interpretation hai, you believe what you want to believe at the end of the day. However, this is what we are saying. And there's so many people who have commented here saying, like, हमें पहले नहीं समझ आता था, because most articles use very flowery words to convey social issues. That is where they go wrong. अगर आप एक broad audience, अगर आप society, मतलब सोशल इश्यूज को डिस्कस करना चाह रहे हैं, और आप सिर्फ फ्लावरी लैंग्वेज यूज कर रहे हैं, तो आप जो 50% ऑफ सोसाइटी है, आप उसको तो भूल ही रहे हैं. मतलब हर किसी को ये वर्ड्स नहीं समझ आते. कीप इट particular. I will also attach many more links to many more blogs by people who are doing some amazing work, conveying social issues across and really motivating their audience to educate themselves. At the end of the day, the point of opinion based writing is to educate your audience. Say, कि, okay, I have this opinion. This is where society is coming from when it says this. Your point is to educate yourself. बस that's it. This is where your work is. आपकी society आगे educate होती है, डिबेट में घुस जाती है या आपके काम को इग्नोर कर देती है. दैट इज नॉट इन योर हैंड्स. आपके हाथ में बस ये है कि आप अपने काम को इतना सिंपल, इतना एक्सेसिबल, इतना इजी टू अंडरस्टैंड बनाएं कि अगर किसी को सोशल इशू के बारे में जीरो एजुकेशन है तो even they can understand. Lastly, before I take your questions, if time runs out, just drop me questions on Google Classroom. I will also send my email on Google Classroom. And what I want you all to do is, okay, this is not a compulsion. Like I said in the start, I don't want to impose or enforce anything. If you took away anything positive from this session, instead of like, like thanking me or something, what you can do is write a short piece or something that you have, for example, नहीं आपने आज तक किसी को दिखाया, आप दिखाना चाहते हैं, आप उस पर क्रिटिक लेना चाहते हैं, एंड यू डोंट नो हाउ दिस विल वर्क आउट, आई एम अवेलेबल. आई विल सेंड इन माई email. अगर आप गूगल क्लासरूम पर पब्लिकली नहीं करना चाहते, आई थिंक प्राइवेट मैसेज भी कर सकते हैं, बट यू कैन ईमेल इट टू मी and I will give you critique on it. Just tell me, like this is something that I've been wanting to publish. Can you tell me where I can get it published? Or you can just say that this is something I wrote. It's about something I feel very passionate about. Can you tell me, for example, like how I did. I'm not an expert on this, but of course I could tell you if from an audience's perspective, this is what you did right and this is what you did wrong. So if any of you, this is not homework, but if any of you like show me your work, it would mean a lot, and it would mean that this session has achieved its purpose because I had made some of you write and reflect upon your work and get it checked. Having said that, this is all of it from my side. If any of you have any questions, please go ahead. Does anyone have a question? Tehreem, should I wait for questions? How much time do we have? Is Tehreem in here?
Jovera, check the Zoom chat box. People are sending questions there.
Really? Where?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Is anyone speaking? If you don't mind telling, what did you score in English Cambridge exam? I gave English literature and English language, and I don't mind telling. I got an A star in English language. What software do you use for your Insta blog posts? It's either Word or actually I will attach links to all of these on Google Classroom. I want you all to be really aware of this, but it's mostly Word. आप Word से करके screenshot कर सकते हैं. अगर आप बात कर रही हैं about how we design this, so it's Word. Word पे जाएं, white font use करें and black background use करें, just screenshot it and it just gives you this. When I'll give you proper text formatting websites that you can use. Is it necessary to have an Instagram account if you have a WordPress blog? Nope, not at all. Instagram blogging in reference to WordPress blogging अब start हुई है. शुरू में सिर्फ लोग WordPress को monetize करते थे और WordPress के through blogging करते थे. जब से tradition of articles पढ़ना online कम हुआ है और social media पर traffic ज़्यादा आई है, that is when people have started resorting to Instagram plus WordPress because they know कि WordPress alone will not find that big of an audience. But you don't need to you do that with the right amount of tools, and of course you can just like ask for help from me at any time. Your WordPress blog will do wonders too. I'm working on WordPress since a long time. Did not think about posting it on Instagram. This is a very good idea if you want to attract traffic to your WordPress blog. Matlab, like whenever you have a new article for WordPress, you can just drop in something on your Instagram, a short like a short part of your WordPress blog, and just drop it on Instagram and say, like the link is in my bio and you can check it out on my WordPress. That's what this woman, Mevish Ahmed, for Safarname does. And Shiza, if that is how I pronounce your name, I'm sorry if that's not how we pronounce your name. I would really recommend you to check her out for this, because she also started off as a WordPress blogger, and to attract traffic to her WordPress blog, this is exactly what she does. And then she says, like, new blog is up on my WordPress, but for disclaimer de deti, and that is enough for you to actually be interested and want to go and read it. That's what I do. I always get interested and I end up reading it. Which site for blogging do you recommend? Thank you. um, which site for the blogging do you recommend? Okay, so like I said, Sirf Instagram alone, I really don't recommend it. Instagram plus WordPress is amazing, especially if you want to monetize it with the right amount of traffic on your Instagram blog, which actually directs to your WordPress blog. You can monetize both. There are so many people. Again, this woman, I would really recommend you to check her out. Also, Mama, if that's how we pronounce your name, that's what she does. Okay, she directs traffic to her WordPress blog. She's earning a very good income from her WordPress blog, but जब इंस्टाग्राम साथ मिल जाता है तो इंस्टाग्राम से एंगेजमेंट हो जाती है, वर्डप्रेस से यू कैन मोनेटाइज इट. However, अगर आप दोनों either of the two भी करना चाहते हैं, it's perfect. The 55 voice account I showed you, it's just an Instagram account. That's all it does. No WordPress, and it dissects issues on Instagram. To discuss social issues, actually, guys, Instagram is a very good platform. There's someone who said something to me the other day कि political issues के लिए is Twitter and social issues के लिए Instagram, and Facebook is just for kind of everything. That is very true कि Instagram पर आप social issues काफी अच्छी तरह debate कर सकते हैं. Personal issues के लिए WordPress plus Instagram का combination is really good. It's been working for so many women. I'm just quoting one example again and again because I have it in front of me, but I can quote so many more. I'll actually drop down links to their blogs जो personally अपने life as an expat, life as a mother, life as a woman के बारे में बात करते हैं in WordPress plus Instagram. But अगर आपने सिर्फ social issues के बारे में बात करनी है, depending on आप किसके बारे में बात करना चाहते हैं, only Instagram would be ideal. I would say you will get the right amount of traffic with the right amount of engagement, and like I said, simplicity and accessibility of your issues. Is there anything else that you would like to ask? I'm dropping my email here too. If you ever need any kind of assistance, or if you ever just need your work proofread before you want to send it somewhere, or agar aapne sirf for example agar aap is session say, yeah, I'm sure so many other amazing mentors came. Where can we read your work? Okay, so is it a good idea to post anonymously? Okay, so if time runs out and I'm unable to answer both of these questions, I'll answer them on Google Classroom right after this session. You can read my work on this blog. This post was written by me and a friend that I just showed, the Not All Men debate. It was written by me and another friend, Sanya Ahmed. Otherwise, you can read it on my private Instagram, but I don't know if I have any of you over there. Yeah, if you want to read it, I don't want to upload it on Google Classroom. You can just message me privately or email me and I'll send you some of my work. If it adheres with you, good enough. If it does not, again, like the disclaimer I gave in the start, no one is entitled to anyone's opinion on the internet specifically. Is it a good idea to post anonymously? Okay, so if you were here around 4:25 when I was talking about Behenchara magazine, which is an editorial, no problem, which is an editorial that basically asks women to talk about, for example, a woman that has impacted them very, very, like significantly in their life. It takes anonymous submissions. For example, अगर आपको आपकी अम्मी ने बहुत impact किया है and you don't want to disclose it openly on the internet कि आप कह रहे हो, you can write it anonymously to them. It is a very good idea because you can start a debate without there being any name to it. I know of so many people who posted anonymously and their work and their writing actually made people think. ये Facebook पर काफी ज्यादा होता है. अगर आप कोई blogging groups का part हैं, तो Ask the Village is one. Ask the Village. Other anonymous submissions actually get all of these women thinking, like, yes, this is what we've been doing so much. For example, agar koi anonymous post karta hai about rishta culture, about how so many people ridiculed her as a process of the rishta culture, it makes so many women think, like, yes, we've been through this too. It makes them start conversations. However, like I said in the start, आपके ऊपर कोई responsibility नहीं है कि सारे दुनिया के issues के बारे में आप बात करें और आप responsibility उठाएं अपने कंधों पर सारी दुनिया के like मसलों की. um, you don't have to like talk उस तरह कि like my work will actually yes I will, your work will actually start a conversation. But as a start, posting anonymously is really good. I know so many of my friends who just started like during lockdown, some people have found empty time on their hands and they've started posting anonymously and it's been going really good. Anonymous posting ke liye, it might not, if you're wanting to monetize it to shayad aap usse like you can't probably earn money out of it. But if it's just because you want your work to be out there, you want, like sometimes you write something and you just want it to be out there without your name being attached to it, but आप चाहते हैं कि लोग इसको पढ़ें. It may happens with me, so it's perfectly normal if it happens with you. um, Posting anonymously is really good. You can contact any of these blogs on Instagram to for anonymous submissions. Mavish Emmett takes anonymous submissions from women about issues facing women. 55 Boys takes anonymous submissions. If you only want to talk about social issues, there are so many more I जो ब्लॉग की मुझसे लिंक मांगी है. बहनचारा मैगजीन, it takes anonymous submissions. Facebook पर so many groups take anonymous submissions. If you ever want to post anonymously, just let me know and I'll give you even more links than the ones that I mentioned. It's always good to have your writing just off your chest and on the internet your work is done. So for a start it's really good. अगर आपको उससे अच्छा रिस्पॉन्स मिल रहा है, आपको लग रहा है कि आपका कॉन्फिडेंस बढ़ गया, most people anonymously लिखने के बाद अपना नाम disclose करना शुरू कर देते हैं. And the nice part about it is that then those people like tell कि oh, this was me who wrote anonymously and now that I have the right amount of confidence to put myself on the internet, which is very taxing work, now I can post by taking my name, so it's off me. It's a really good process actually. If do you guys have any other questions? If not, I can probably show you the Behenchara max. I can't find it right now, guys. I found really weird stuff in the process. But I'll put a link to it. I think Behenchara is spelled like this. Behenchara. Okay, I can't find it right now. I will drop a link to it in Google Classroom. In the Google Classroom. Okay, is that about it? Okay, guys, if that is about it, I think that concludes my session. I'm actually over time. But thank you so much for coming here. And if you took away even one part of this session, that would mean a lot to me. Even if you did not take away anything from that session, this session, it is perfectly all right. If you want to give feedback to this session, and if you can tell, if you want to tell, like maybe even if you took away nothing, just let me know. Like I'm very open to this stuff. Like I said, um, the internet provides everyone with space, so it's for all of us, not just for one person. So you all are entitled to the opinion that you hold, but it would mean a lot if you get your work reviewed, and if through this session or through the session that other people have conducted through cyber allies, especially with content writing, because that's what I'm concerned with, especially that you start writing, you write that book, you write that blog, you post that editorial, you post that opinion piece, you post that personal piece, even if it's on your private account or something, or even if it's through an anonymous site, it would be amazing. Lastly, this is for cyber allies, that I love writing, I love content writing, and I love teaching. So I'm very thankful to cyber allies. You all should be too, for providing me with this opportunity and for providing with you all with this opportunity of being here. It is a privilege for us to be utilizing lockdown and quarantine like this. It is actually even a privilege to be in quarantine. So thank you very much to all of you for attending, and thank you to Tahreem, Alina, and everyone at Cyber Allies for having me. I am very grateful. Allah Hafiz, everyone. and no problem at all.